Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. The highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give me the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never fail. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Giving. Hallelujah. Hey. The highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hey, come the friend, Jehovah. Come the worship, Jehovah. He deserves the praise. Come the praise. He deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, he gave me life. I will praise his name. I'm here to praise my God, oh, because he gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come and worship him. He deserves the praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Hallelujah, giving, hallelujah, the highest praise.
Hallelujah, giving the higher praises, our team song. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. I'm Alfonso Z, and so right here at the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Welcome to this evening broadcast. Lpr-Tv special present critical conversations. You're going to be painful. You're going to be reawaken some of the old ones, but it is what it is. We don't entertain. This is not an entertainment industry. We are here to make the news proportional. I'm Alfonso Z, and so stay tuned.
Hallelujah, I lead down my life for Jesus. I'll be worshiping you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah to Jesus.
Okay, that's our theme song here by K Praise, K Praise, and Joseph Bass of Liberian gospel artist based in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. My guest is also standing by. I will try to get him through video. It's just not possible. From Liberia, is yet. Is a new political party on the way, adding trouble all over the Bridgewater. My senior analyst is standing by in Australia. He's going to be joining me here. And of course, the liberal progressive, Samson Blaku Brown Toe, going to be part of this conversation. Stay tuned. I'm Alfonso Zianso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. welcome. Solutions Liberians figuring out the way to go relative to the deadly civil war in Liberia. But the conversation seems to be on a different end, depending who you talk to and which group, what they believe and what they think should happen. All of that, we hope to put it into context and have a genuine conversation here later on. But in the meantime, one of our special guests here today is the group calling itself the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia. Is a new political party emergence in Liberia, adding on to the already crowded field? Well, let's find out. Very shortly, I'm going to be joining him from Liberia. Emmanuel Gonquoi are going to be joining him from Liberia. But we're going to be courtesy of our sister network, the African Star newspaper. What we're going to do, we're going to bring an editorial in the middle later on right here during the program. And we're going to get that. But let me see here. He's standing by in Liberia. Let me bring in our analyst. Mr. George Weeder is also in Australia. I believe it's early morning hour. Let me just bring him to greet him, and then we can get the conversation going. Mr. Weeder, it's going to be a dicey conversation here, so I want to have you more visible. Let my audience see you. If you can a little bit adjust your camera as well, that would do us a great deal in this conversation here, because when I'm asking my question, well, perfect. We are at equilibrium. We are at the same level. Is that morning time or evening?
Yeah, it's early morning here. It's around 5:30 in the morning. Yeah.
5:30 in the morning. Then you are so strong to wake up to have to engage, to have this sort of critical conversation. Is that something you find pleasure doing?
Oh, look, anything to get information out there to educate and be educated is something that I always on the edge to do.
Okay, we want to welcome our viewers and listeners across Liberia, USA, whatever you are. Do us a favor, tie your face, put smiles on your face, and share this podcast. But let me just tell you the taboo of this network here. We try to keep it professional as possibly as we can. This is not an entertainment industry. We are not here to amuse you. We are not here to tell you things potentially you want to hear. You have the choice to disagree with us, but we are here to discuss it as it should be in the context of real-time news, not an entertainment, not an amusement. We're not here to go our way because you want us to tell us certain things. We try as much as possible to follow the ethics and all of the core values of media. And I think is very, very much important at this critical junction. We're going to be bringing you the editorial. We want to welcome you. Thank you for sharing your afternoon with us this midweek of Wednesday. This is Afonso Zay and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio. Let's see if we can have our guest connected here. I will be right back. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to the West African state of the Republic of Liberia, where there seems to be more or less crowded field is taking place. Those in the conversations of war crime cause there are other politicians still trying to merge on Capitol Hill, or the inflow of the executive mansion yet to be completed. Joining me here is one of the pressure group. We are now hearing gradually transitioning to a full-fledged political party. He's a young voice. He was very forceful. They call him the CRC, the group calling itself the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia. CRC Emmanuel Gonquoi is on the line from the nation's capital of Monrovia. Good evening.
Well, good evening, Mr. Zion. Good evening to fellow Liberian listening via your platform. Once again, I'm excited to be on your platform tonight to have a great conversation with our fellow citizens and those who are concerned about what we do and where we've been and what is the status of the EFF. We will have this opportunity through your medium to share with them the status of the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia as we speak.
Okay, all right. Being joined here by our senior contributor as well, Mr. George Wieder is based in Australia. Later on, the Liberal Progressive, he's going to be coming in from Sacramento, Saxton Studio B. So let's just get the board rolling, because you already get the cat out of the bag. Is EFLL, is it still alive or on life support in Liberia?
Well, we are vibrant. We're very well. Like I said yesterday in one of my interviews with Spoon FM, I said in the December 2020 elections, we were beaten by political snakes. So we decided to take measures that will prevent the snakes from having access to us going forward. So that measure is to ensure that we become a full political party. So the Central Revolutionary Council of the party, which is a higher decision-making body, after our premature departure, from the 2020 elections, decided that we focus more on ensuring that EFFL becomes a political party so that we have a clear path to competing in the policy dialogue of our country. It was against that note that we took a sabbatical, especially me as the president, took a political sabbatical, not to engage mainstream media, but to rather focus on ensuring mobilizing the necessary resources to ensure that the political party called EFF completes in its entirety the requirements that are needed, by the National Elections Commission in order for us to become a political party. So from that moment, we were very, very engaging. The Elections Commission then, wrote us a letter, wrote the superintendent through the Ministry of Internal Affairs, requesting that we have the opportunity to exercise our full political rights. That means by going and having conversation with our citizens across the 15 counties. And we have done that, and we have recruited a number of people into our party listings as required by the National Elections Commission laws. Those names and voter ID has been presented to the National Elections Commission. Verification has been done. We completed that. We have also notarized those names. So where we are now is to ensure that the names as requested by the National Elections Commission are published in the local data. We are hoping that by this Monday, that publication will be done in 3 local data, and evidence of that publication will be submitted to the Board of Commissioners. And then a bill for our certification will as well be paid. So that within the coming weeks, we can be hopeful of the Elections Commission knowing that they value the democratic process of our nation and they want to see a radical political institution like the EFFL participating in the political space. They would then move swiftly to ensure that we are issued a certification to become a full political party existing in the geopolitical perimeter of our country.
Ooh, what a long intro. Wieder.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate if you want to come in. Just call my attention. So I'm going to bring in. Okay, CRC as your. Is that a name you are still being called by your supporters?
Well, I'm still called by that name. We haven't changed. We haven't changed the nomenclature because our party has its own way of conducting affairs. So we still call them CRC, but on the continent, when we went to South Africa, we had a resolution passed And that resolution was that we will only have one CRC on the continent, which will be Julius Malema, and the rest of the other leaders across Africa would then be president until they can become president in their respective countries. So when you become president of the republic in your country, yes, you can have the CRC title, but yet and still there are people who find it very comfortable. People find it very comfortable to just call me CRC. But on my official page, if you see, I put the president of the EFF.
And you love that because simply you are loved. Okay, let's do a little bit backtracking here and talk to me and the rest of the audience. I heard you saying you departed the political scene prematurely. What is the interpretation of that? What happens?
Well, we were very excited. In fact, we engaged the 2020 electoral process with utmost commitment and robustness, knowing that we were positioned to win. I was one of the, Front Page Africa article, can attest to that, when they did the list of candidates in Margibi County and the
Just bear with us, folks. He's on the land as the beauty of Liberia, and these are things that we are trying to fix. Okay, there's Emmanuel, young man, Emmanuel Gonquoi is the CRC, the group calling itself the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, is on the line this evening. Hopefully, you're going to be there. Emmanuel, are you there, CRC? Okay, I just lose control here. Let me just, hopefully, going to be calling back here. Let me go to Wida. Wida, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mr.
Yeah, it's like you are frozen. Emmanuel, you got to call on this number here. Just hold on 1 second. Emmanuel, can you call back on the same number? Let me just call you because that's the number connected to the system.
It's part of the problem we have in Liberia internet.
Yeah, okay. Let me call you. Let me call you on the same number that is connected to the system, okay? Yeah. So it's like you are frozen. So when Rick Perry was in the interview, so let's do a little calculation here why he's calling 11 plus 4 plus 3 plus 1, 1. It means, based what we are hearing, if he's satisfied, if the group is satisfied, Liberia is heading for 20 political parties. I'm not sure what's going to happen, whether people are looking for political inclusion or people are coming to be the spoiler, or they already have signed into this whole thing here. But hey, for the benefit of the doubt, we will always give them the benefit of the doubt to tell us who they are, because politicians and those who claim to be career politicians, those who are business people and converted to being politicians, there seems to be disappointment. So anybody can come. But let me just go back to him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. CRC, are you there? Hello?
Like I said, we were positioned to have won the elections in Margibi, but because we did not have a political party started as Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, we could not have participated in the elections. And we never wanted to demonstrate that we believe in power more than we believe in the people. So we could not have left the party, the movement, to go and join other political parties simply because we wanted to run. Or we could not contest as independent candidate simply because we want to be senator. We have a brand, and that brand is what we are marketing. That brand is the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia. The party has got a clear philosophy, a clear way forward to the many challenges in Liberia. So we could not have aborted this journey to go and contest on other political parties tickets simply because we want to contest on elections. So because we did not have that clearance from Elections Commission, we decided to back off on the elections, and I call that prematurely because we have all thought, that the Elections Commission would have certificated us, because we started the process few months before the Elections Commission registration came about, for candidates. However, that's a political situation we found ourselves. The Elections Commission do have their will. They have their own kind of procedure. I'm grateful, that at this stage, we are 97% closer, to becoming a political party. So it means that, by 2023, we will have no excuse for not being on the ballot. We are certainly going to be on the ballot because we have a political home.
So, being on the ballot, let's get it right here for the benefit of our audience. There will be 3 major elections in the country: the presidential, and the both houses are going to be contesting as well. Will you be part of those 3 races, if you want to say?
Well, let me make it very clear to the Liberian people and to many of our good citizens in the diaspora. The economic freedom fighters of Liberia, at this moment, we are not anticipating to be on the presidential ballot in 2023. We strongly believe that the problems we have in this country, to fix it, you must begin with the legislature. It is not with the executive. You must begin with the legislature. Here we are. I gave you an example. Here we are, both houses with majority opposition lawmakers, but we have a situation where even the opposition lawmakers approve the printing of $48 billion Liberian banknote without any form of economic justification. So the problem we have, if we are to solve it, we must first deal with the political inadequacy of many of the people who represent the different political parties out in the legislature. So what we want to pursue going to 2023 is that we pursue a strategy where we economic freedom fighters of Liberia can have at least the majority seat in both houses if possible. And then whoever becomes president, that person will not dictate the status quo. That person will not dictate the order of the day. Because if you do that, you can only be guaranteed that you will be impinged in a moment. Because we will use to our the constitutional powers granted us and the electorates. So we do not anticipate seeing a candidate for president on the ticket of the EFFL in 2023. But what we are certainly hopeful of is that we are going to have candidates both on the representative and on the Senate side contesting on our ticket.
Do you have a necessary requirement, financial resources to wage a war, or is it the same sort of old traditions CRC, looking for some sort of political inclusion, or are you already been sidelined, or you have already aligned with some party or some coalition that we need to know about? Do you want to come clean here to tell us exactly your agenda? And let's get it right here. I'm going to be going to my colleague too, if he has a question to ask. I believe during the mass protest, hold on 1 second, then I'm going to give you the order of the day. During the mass protest, you were part of the COP or CPP June 7 protest, correct?
There were a conglomerations of protests, organization that came together to do a protest. It was not a CPP protest or a COP protest. It was a protest organized and facilitated, by different organizations. So it cannot be COP, it cannot be EFFL, it cannot be CPP, because people from the CPP came out, people from EFFL came out, and people from COP came out. The different organizations, ordinary Liberian, different organizations. So it cannot be coined as a particular organization protest.
Okay, but you are part of the group, correct?
Oh yes, we were part. We were part of that protest. We were part, and we have no regret for that. We participated with our heart. Those issues that existed for which we protested, they still do exist. Our country is in, like I said, our country is on the dark side of history, and there's a need for a clear leadership to address our problems. And that's why we want to solve it from a political party perspective, because we believe that all the protests, for record AJ, people been having protests and different protests and different protests in Liberia funded. But we have not been able to solve a leadership deficit problem that this country has experienced over the years.
Okay.
And to do that, we must start with the legislature. And that's why we are focused. We are focused 100% on the legislature.
Okay.
Regarding your questions about political alignment, you asked questions about political alignment. We have not done any form of political alignment. Like I said yesterday in my interview, the EFFL has got her own agenda. If you go on our website, we have developed what they call the Liberian Dream. Our manifesto for this country is clear. Our blueprint is clear. Whatever we want to do regarding development of the country is clearly written in black and white. And it is on our website, and anybody can download that. Most of these other political parties that are still agitating for power, if you ask them today to give you a clearly written vision for Liberia, they do not have it. So we cannot go to a political marriage with a group of people who don't have any written agenda. In order for us to consummate a political marriage, we must see your vision, read through your vision, ask you the hardest question as to how you intend to execute your vision. If you look at our visions, we outline it in our plans as to how we intend to execute the vision. And finally, we're amazed to know that most time people believe that in order for you to move the country forward, you have to go to Paris and go crawl on your belly as the president begging for crumbs. You have to go to the US and begging. I mean, we believe that you do not need to run around asking for 5 million and 10 million or 100 million to develop your country when you have the atmosphere to raise those funds right in Liberia. So in order for somebody to have a political marriage for going forward in 2023 for the presidency, not for the Senate, not for the representative, for the presidency, you must have a clearly written vision for Liberia.
Okay,
and
so
as I stand, all of the people that are talking, they are only articulating a vision in a mouth. There is no written paper that they can present to you, that even you in the media, you in the mainstream media can access. As I sit here tonight, I'm saying to you, we have our vision, and you can go on our website and download our vision. We have a clear blueprint, and if anybody followed our blueprint, this country will be the best in the world. And that's what we believe. So we have not done any political alignment. We do not hope to do any political alignment until we can see, what that political institution has to offer the Liberian people.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to be switching gears here to my colleagues, but one thing that I try to sense out here now, you are trying to treat politics like at air tower, because that tower has to be there for the plane to land. That's okay. Let me welcome my deliberate, the most liberal on this network, Samson Brown Tor from Saxton, Sacramento, Studio B. Mr. Tor, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. So. As this young man was speaking, I was completely flying out of my seat. I think if
you quick to fly. What are you flying about? Flying, going where?
Please, this is very important. When we come to these kinds of platforms to give our view, people respect your view. These are your view. You can say just about anything you want to say, but you are not entitled to your own truth. Now, if I was this young man, perhaps I would have phrased my explanation and the language that I'm going to use differently. To say these people have no plan, then perhaps you're doing yourself a disservice. Perhaps they don't have a plan that you have not seen. Mr. So, I am member of Liberty Party USA, and I believe that even if you were to, no, seriously, I'm going to do a show on this. If you were to check the Liberty Party USA archive, you will get to understand that Liberty Party USA during the 2011 election, and I don't mind saying these things right now. If people think I'm busting secret, so be it. Liberty Party USA, the professionals in the diaspora that belong to Liberty Party USA, they were able to put themselves into like an enclave. Okay, this profession, that profession, the doctors, engineers, lawyers, and they were asked by the leader, Philip Swart, to say, you guys come up with an idea of if Liberty Party become a leader or take the power, what do you do? How do we implement? And what do we need to do to move Liberia forward? So people are not sleeping around here for these young men to come and say, these people have no plan. They have plans. We have plans. People have plans, but they're not going to give you plan when you're jumping like a frog from one point to another. You want me to share my plan with you? You're not stable. Unless you can show that the EFF is very stable, I will not share my plan with you.
So let me play the devil advocate. I'm going to be going back, but let me just give Widow the chance here. Straw is ready to eat crow here. This guy has appeared on this network numerous times and been saying, CDC, you don't have no plan. Now the man said these people don't have plan. He has gone under his skin and he's throwing tantrum here this afternoon, which of course is not an unusual thing. Widow, do you have a question for him? Do you have something before I go back to him?
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Gonquoi of CRC, for coming. And yeah, it's my questions. My questions are really many, but I will just start by this one to ask that. Look, we all know the problem with Liberia is we could say twofold, because the executive mansion dictates the direction in which the country goes. While we know that they can be checkmated by the legislature, all of the day is that the executive mansion makes the direction or leads the way of the day. So if you are only intending currently to go into the legislature, how do you think you're going to be effective when you're only be opposing or checkmating the government? How do you think you will be effective in that direction?
Okay, let me go back to it. CRC, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, you've been hearing the voice echoing from Australia and that of Sacramento. Go ahead. What's your reaction?
Well, I listened to my Liberty Party brother who said in 2005, during the formation of the Liberty Party, they have doctors and engineers who crafted the vision of the Liberty Party. But here we
please correct me. I said 2011.
From 2005 to 2017, and also
please correct me. 2011.
We are talking about a new vision for Liberia, considering the current situation we find ourselves. It is not 2005. We were a post-conflict nation. Now we are a fragile state. So how do you compromise that? We are talking about a present day reality. We are not talking about a decade ago. I'm talking about now. Now everybody competing for 2023. So from now to 2023, we are all opposing George Weah. It is a clear signal on the wall that George Weah and his group of people, they have failed our country. They have failed to govern the country.
So then let me hold you there quickly here at CRC, and you will carry on. If you say you are opposing, that seems to be the language of the opposition. So then why not form coalition with the opposition? Because they too, the liberal data with the Liberty Party, USA, Liberia, whatever, he kept confusing us here that he's going to deal with. But those are the same people that are also opposing and saying they're going to give George Weah a one term. If you are also thinking in that direction, then why not form coalition with them?
Like I said to you, I just made it very clear. In order for you to consummate a political marriage, there must be something that brings you guys together. As a stand, I have not.
Example. What could be the perfect example of that?
And I'm saying to you, even you, Afanso, even you, I want you to show me, the Liberty Party agenda for 2023. I want you to show me ANC agenda for 2023 written. I want you to show me the Unity Party agenda for 2023. The ALP, I'm saying to you, the EFL agenda for 2023 is already released. It's on our website. Where are the agenda? It is one thing to come on the radio to say we will invest in agriculture, we will invest in tourism, we will build the roads. How are you going to invest in agriculture? Where the money will come from? You're going to build roads. Where the money will come from? It is one thing to say those things, but where the money will come from? You need a blueprint that show a clear direction as to where the funds will come from to do or to back up your vision. So that's what I'm saying. So until we can see clearly a written vision, there's no need to rush into a political marriage.
So
that's the reason why we have a political deal with anybody.
To get it right before I go to my colleagues, I saw you leave the doors open, correct? Potentially, when there is something, maybe there's a diamond ring that's going to come politically, then you're going to form that union, correct?
Like I said to you, we will own it. We will support a presidential candidate in 2023. But before we do that, we need to see a vision. We need to read through your manifesto. We need to see your strategy. It is not about, look, we have to desist from the thing of voting for people because they're popular, voting for people because they got sweet mouth, they sit on the radio, they speak good words and go in our ear. We have to desist from voting for people for using our criteria. We need to vote for people because they have the ability to do it. And that ability that they communicate is written. That tomorrow when they fail, we can use that very agenda against them and say, look, you promised the Liberian people this, that you will have done this, but here we are.
Okay.
You have not been able to deliver on that. Like the CDC. We had series of debates before Joshua became president, asking the CDC to release a clearly written vision for Liberia. The CDC refused. They even refused to get Joshua to go to debate. Today, where are we? Where are we today?
Okay, that's the $1 million question. Yeah, that's the $1 million questions, and Liberian would be the one to I answer that question. But let me go back to my guys.
We have to avoid that mistake. Let us not celebrate people because they get on the radio to speak good words. No, let us look at our new leaders.
Okay.
Let's compel them to write down their vision. Let write down the vision so that tomorrow when you make mistake, we can be able to question you on the basis of what you presented to us.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back to my colleagues there. Wida, let me start with you while the Liberal is doing one or two things there. Does he have a point? The CRC, does he have a point?
Oh, look, this is politics. And the CRC, in his own context, he wants to make the point that there's no plan other than his plan, and that's what every politician does. The thing is that that plan, I think, is not going to be actualized because he's going to sit somewhere, if possible. If he's lucky, he's going to sit somewhere in a legislature, and I don't think any plan in the legislature work for the country as a whole. It stays there, and that's what it's going to be. But yes, my question is, it was very similar to what you asked him from the beginning. And look, like our constitution states, we need 50% plus 1 to win an election in this country. So it's very obvious with the proliferation of political parties in Liberia, there's almost certainty that there's going to be no clear winner in the first round of voting or the elections. So going forward, where does the economic freedom fighter fit within second round of any election that's going to take place in 2023? That's what I want to know from him.
Okay, before you go, let me go to the Liberal because it looks like he's burning within there. No plan. They're not going to join something. And I see he's knocking and pushing his hands all around there. Something is boiling within. So the Liberal.
Thank you very much. Let me just correct the young man. And then again, we're not here to we're here to disagree, but with doing so with respect to each other view. And I truly respect his view, and I even appreciate him coming out and expressing his view. So there's no knocking on his view whatsoever. However, let me just say this: the statement that I made, I didn't say 2005. I said 2011. Now, in the 2011, the Liberty Party had a convention over there in Lofa County, where Mr. Willard very much well of Lofa County, and we were kicked out of the city hall that was promised and that was given to us, but because Dr. Bakai and his Lovian brothers said they don't want Liberty Party in any of their hall, which I'm not going to talk about. But the point that I'm making here is that Liberty Party have always had plans. There's no question asked. In fact, in Liberty Party, what do we say? The slogan of Liberty Party: if you want intellectual, if you want people to move Liberia with plan, come and join Liberty Party. Liberty Party is the best party of all. Now, I'm campaigning, of course, but Mr. So, on a very serious note, we labor very hard. Let me finish. We labor very hard. Please, the Liberty Party is on the floor, if you don't mind. We labor, Liberty Party USA, that is. We labor very hard on a very serious matter. Our leaders, Phyllis Swart, and the rest of the people, make sure that we have meeting nightly, that we make sure all of the documents that we're going to be presenting, that they were sound, and people review those documents. People who are not even engineers review the engineering document. Make sure that this document makes sense. So for the young men to say that people don't have plan, this is what I suspect, and I'm allowed to speculate. I suspect this young man is now getting ready to use the power of don't have plan as means of getting himself in a position after the second round that he will now throw his weight against somebody and perhaps get a beautiful, beautiful job. Speculation, of course.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be going to him here. Let's bring you here. As you know, LPR makes the news proportional. And let's see what is coming from the international front. And I will be going right back to our guest. Well, happily monitoring major news outlet here, according to what Al Jazeera and major news network is reporting right now. A coalition deal reached in Israel to end Benjamin Netanyahu's rule. That is significant. It is good that we bring this news as Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel coming to the end of his political career, the coalition here. We're going to come back to that. Let me go to CRC to get his reaction. CRC, there you have it. The people say, are you hearing that?
Again, I listened to my Liberty Party brother. He continued to, anger that Liberty Party is the best political party in the history of our country. I mean, he's entitled to that. The same way he said, I'm entitled to my opinion. But what I want to say to him clearly is that I'm not one of those that make decisions because of job. I have said it many times, and I'm repeating this on the platform tonight, and you can keep it. We are all in the political space, you can keep it. It's a public commitment. If I go to the elections 2023 and don't succeed as a senator of my Gibi County, we will support an opposition political party that will go to the runoff election with George Weah. And our support will not be based on the fact that somebody got to give me minister job. And I've always said this. I do not need any president to give me ministerial job because my mentality is quite different. I'm not going to reduce, myself and my mentality and my political philosophy, to go be a deputy minister where the president will say, okay, y'all go do this. When you disagree with the president, then they fire you. I am not going to take a cabinet position for any president in this country. I'm clear about that. I'd rather sell my cold water to survive. I'm not here to support people because they got $1 million.
You are sounding, CRC, you are sounding like some of the other politicians are saying they do not want number one. They do not want number three. They do not want number three. So you are aiming for what?
Because we have too many unserious people in our country. Too many unserious people who cannot make decisions. And we are amazed to know that people live for it. You know what I mean? As a sovereign nation, you go begging for $5 million or $6 million or $10 million, and I should be president under that kind of president. I should be minister under that kind of president. I will not. So look, any opposition leader who becomes president in 2023, I can bet my life on this. I do not want a job from you.
So
if I do not succeed to be senator, I will sit down and continue advocacy. If I have to sell cold water to survive, I will do so. But
so then how do you intend? So hold on.
I would not.
Yeah, let me hold on right there. I will not. Look, we are seeing here in the Western world, look, coalition, forming a union and being part of the system to make the system work. That's it. But you are sounding now like, hey, if I can't get this, this will not happen. There are other free thinkers out there. That could be that could be what is factoring in their mind. So why you don't want to occupy the position to contribute to your country besides being a senator? Is that what you're destined for?
I can contribute to my country by being a private citizen, and I'm already doing so. By having a conversation.
So then why, if you are doing so now, why are you not satisfied with that? Why you still want to go to the Senate?
Because I want to form part of a policy debate. I want to form part of a policy debate in a free way. Being a deputy minister, for example, I'm working at the will and pleasure of the president. If I made a recommendation to the president feels, they certify about my recommendation, or maybe we went to cabinet meeting and there's a suggestion that came up and I disagree, the president will wake up in the morning and fire me. But the Liberian people will not fire me, all the people might
EFL. So let me ask you this question. EFLL, do you have a registered members?
Come again?
EFLL, do you have registered members in Liberia?
To become a political party, the minimum requirement by the National Elections Commission is to present 3,000 membership listing.
Do you have that now?
3,000. It is what we are publishing on Monday.
Mama, question.
We are publishing it.
Is that yes to my question, CRC?
I'm saying, why will you publish something that you do not have?
Can I ask
something that you do not have? Can you publish something that you do not have?
Well, people publish things around here, and when we go fact check, they are not actually existing. And I want us to get this on record. Do you have your 3,000?
We are publishing 3,000 names from 5 counties as directed by the National Elections Commission. Like I said to you for my intro, verifications, voter ID number has been done. We are publishing the names and voter ID with passport size picture. Okay. In line with the Elections Commission law. Okay. And that publication begins on Monday.
On Monday. Hopefully we'll get access to that as well. Just to
you get access to that. You will get access to that. I will send you a picture of the publication.
Okay. So I don't know how many candidates you're going to be featuring in the entire process. Have you guys come to that conclusion before I go to my colleagues? Have you guys come to a conclusion how many candidates for example, senators and representatives?
The laws of our country allowed us to open a political party to Liberians. There's no discrimination. So as a stand, you cannot come up with a figure to say in 2023 we're going to have 5 candidates or 6 candidates or 73 candidates. What I would want beyond 2023 is for EFFL to succeed and have a majority seat in the legislature. Because in that way, no president would dictate the status quo. Because if you govern the country like George Ray govern the country right now, and EFFL being a majority seat carriers in the legislature, we can simply impeach you without any form of dialogue.
Who is supporting the political quest of EFLL? Where are your finances coming from?
In Australia, Switzerland, they were collecting money among themselves just on yesterday. They were collecting money. And Liberians across the globe that are collecting money, supporting the party.
Do you think that's election? Do you think there's a violations of the election laws? If we want transparency, don't you think?
No, it is not. It is not no violation because the laws require for Liberians to support their political party.
Yeah, but register Liberian, not just all Liberians, so register voters.
Liberian. They are Liberians.
Yeah, I understand they are Liberian, but they must be a registered voters. Okay, hold on, let me go to my guys because
no. My little party brother there will attest to this one. I will disagree with you on this one.
Okay, because
once we are Liberians, once you are Liberian, you are entitled to participate in your political process. And your participation will be by voting or by contributing financially.
Anywhere,
you don't have to be a registered voter to contribute.
Anywhere on planet Earth, is that what you're telling me? To CRC?
During the election, Liberty Party organized fundraiser for the party in America. Unity Party did the same. I mean, anybody, once you are Liberian outside of the country, you can contribute to.
But that's one of the problems. They are doing the wrong thing, and so now you are following the wrong pattern, and we're going to go. You guys are going to still put us into the deep sea as well. But hold on 1 second. Let me go to him. It seems.
Alfonso, how do you interpret this? Are you saying to us that we should disenfranchise Liberians from participating in the democratic process of their country?
I am not. Liberian, hold on, Liberian already been disenfranchised because they are telling people who are citizen people and not even citizen people, and that's the disingenuous aspects of you politicians and stuff. And part of what you are saying is being embedded by the liberal here, who we here who do not have no voice, who do not do anything. But these are the same people who rally huge sum of money and send it to these politicians who are not doing anything in Liberia. Then they come back with this sort of political correctness statement, and then here he now telling me he Liberty Party USA. So he tried to distance himself to the bad political attitudes in Liberia. He putting himself in the mirror now to be a clean guy because he lived in the Hollywood land. I see him smiling, which is not a good smile. Let me just go to him to give me a fair check. All right, the liberal.
Mr. So, now let me first of all address this young man, and then I will come to you with you and your conservative trying to sanction the political aspiration of many Liberians all over the world. I will deal with that. But let me say this to this young man, my brother. The good thing you have the aspiration, and good thing that you as a young Liberian are not sitting down like Mr. Wheeler. You guys are not sitting down as young people. You're ready to engage the system. That's what we want. We want the young people to engage the system, point out the fault, point out whatever issue that you have with the system. But my brother, I think at this stage, with just a few months back, we have another political party registering in Liberia. I think at this stage, if you were to re-examine your platform or your manifesto, whatever you have, and try to compare with whatever be a verbal platform or whatever you want to call it, compare with these many political organizations in Liberia or political parties in Liberia, I'm sure 95% of your ideas will be in line with other political parties. Why don't you squeeze yourself? And since you have the ability to speak out clearly, articulate your view, and people will understand it. You think if you were to involve yourself with any other political party, the way you express yourself, the way you articulate the issue, the way you carry out on your citizen to be able to understand the issue. And that's why many of these political parties are lacking. If you were to align yourself with any of these political parties, I'm sure you will have room in there. Let me know. That's your part. Mr. So, first of all, as a Liberian, I am a Liberian. I'm from Town, Grand Jida County, Republic of Liberia. I didn't say Banana Republic. If Liberty Party USA, let's be careful here. I said Liberty Party USA. I am not member of Liberty Party Liberia. I am member of Liberty Party USA. Now, if my brethren and sisters back home, if they need any help, financial help, as long as we are not violating any law or a campaign law, whatever law that is established by the election commission, Mr. So, who are you? You and Liberia Public Radio. What right and what authority do you have to question the ability of Liberia to raise funds? Mr. So, please stick with your platform and be the Liberian Public Radio and disseminate information. Please do not meddle into our political affairs. Mr. So, please stick with your platform.
You have been very disingenuous and dishonest. You are a radio host, and you have paid the political parties. That itself, you sanction the voices of other political parties because Gonquoi will not even feel comfortable coming to you because everything going to be about Liberty Party. Wida, do you want to respond?
Look, just Mr. Gonquoi, just something I wanted to mention to him because I think he's contradicting himself. He first mentioned that as a president, he wouldn't go overseas begging for $5 million or whatever. But now he's saying, as a political party,
is he getting under your skin, Widow?
Oh no, I think he has already done that. Already picking a side because he's not picking the CDC. He said he's going to pick opposition that is going against the government in the second round. So he's already picked his side. So I'm going to pick bones with him now. So the thing is that, he's already made this publicity about Liberia having the resources to to not be going outside the bag. But now he's saying, even as a political party, he's not sourcing money locally because I think there is none. He's looking at people outside the country to give him money to sponsor his party. How does that work? How does he make sense of that? That's what I want to know from him.
Okay, let's go to him before we know. Yeah, go ahead, CRC.
There's a difference between going to Liberians to solicit support because they want to participate in the political process of their country. And versus going to Paris, for example, to go back for $5 million as a sovereign nation. What we're doing is that we're embracing Liberians in the diaspora and locally to participate in the democratic process of our nation. It is something that happened globally. So you can compare that to a sovereign country going to beg for $5 million. No, when you are a sovereign nation, and you have a president. And the president goes out, and begging for $5 million. How do you feel? How do you feel as a nation that your president is going to beg for $5 million? Don't you think it's embarrassing? It is totally embarrassing. And, that mentality of begging and begging and begging as a country, we have to find a way to disembark from that. We have to change it. This strategy has never worked for Liberia, and it will never work for Liberia. We need to find a way to manage what we have and build upon what we have.
Can you survive with what, Mr. CRC? Can you survive with what you have? The global world is on partnership. America,
that's what I wanted to mention.
Is in partnership with China and all of that. So, are you saying if you are president, if we entrust? Oh, hold on 1 second. If we give EFL state power today, probably the only place that you're going to go to Juliet Malimbat in South Africa. That's simply what you're telling me.
Listen, all I'm saying to you is that there should be limit, to your engagement. There should be you should present yourself as a respectable society. If you leave and go beg for $5 million as a country, nobody will respect you. But if, for example, the U.S. is your partner, Great Britain is a partner, Paris, France is a partner, and you develop a program that, for example, that program is targeting the agriculture sector. Mm-hmm. And there is a clearly written strategy that will bring the resources invested in the agriculture sector, and then there's a turnover, and the financial projections are made clear. That partner sees that you are able to pay that money back. The partner will never hesitate to give you money. In South Africa, like you talk about, most of the investment in South Africa are owned by the state. The state has to be seen investing in the country, whether it is in the food supply chain, whether it is in the extractive industry, whatever it is, the state must invest. The state must own all the big investment. When you do that, you reduce the pressure on you going around begging for $5 million, because these investments, they serve as a backbone to the economy. Let's take, for example, how many bag arrests do we consume in the country every year? The study shows that we consume up to 370,000 metric ton rice a year. Do the math. When you do the math, the inflow of cash in between that we do there is around, the market alone is around $1 billion market. The rest market alone is around $1 billion market. So if a serious government, we have to go to World Bank, for example. World Bank come here giving you $100 million, they put interest on it. Why not you develop a program or you develop a project and say it's on the Ministry of Agriculture, we want to be able to supply the total demand of the country. and you do a complete business model, and Ministry of Agriculture is implementing that project. Now the rest that is being harvested from the farm is being sold on the local market. So you are building the economy. The Liberian government, whatever revenue that is generated from that investment, can go back to pay the loan. You're addressing two things. You're increasing the size of the budget. At the same time, you're creating full stability in your country. Who will not give you money for that? Who will not give you money for that?
Can I come in here, please?
About how to address food security and increase the size of the budget by developing local revenue streams to support the budget. You are here passing around begging for $5 million, $1 million. How can $5 million and $1 million solve your country problem?
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get a take, and then we'll get a.
I'm not saying don't form a partnership with different countries. We cannot live in isolation.
Absolutely.
But
okay.
We have to develop a plan now to forget about begging. Let the state be seen as investing in the country to create more jobs as well as increase the budget.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, folks, is the damage control being done?
No.
No.
Well, we go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, look.
Hold on 1 second. There's Liberty Party guy and there's other type sedition here. Do you think you guys can stick together before this program comes to an end?
Far from it. Please do not reduce me to CDC platform this afternoon, Mr. So. Far from. How can you look at me?
Did I hear you say? Hold on 1 second. Did I hear you?
Why would you take me, the liberal progressive, who happen to be Liberty Party USA, and try to reduce it to a CDC platform? Please, Mr. So, don't do that.
Did I hear you saying CDC platform?
Well, I mean CDC. Well, that's a different subject matter. I don't push that line because I can respond.
It's not a CDC platform.
Mr. So don't push that line because I can respond effectively, and I don't think we want to go there. Let me respond to this young man here, Mr. Wheeler, just before you come in. Look, the young man, and I'm not here to sell CDC line, but Mr. So, you know who I am. If something is right, whether it comes from CDC or not, it's my country. I must be supportive. And when 2023 come around, I too want Dr. We are in CDC, kaput. Finito. That's it. Now, in the process, if this young man will come out to say that he is embarrassed of the president going out to ask and beg for money, then I think there's a disconnect from him. Because if you care for the economic wealth of Liberia, then I think whatever the money is coming out of, it shouldn't be the issue. The issue I think the young man should be raising is that you bring the $5 million and we don't see the result. Now, that would be a different issue. But to say that the president cannot even go out and ask for $5,000, that's a disconnect. Now, Mr. So, the president, just like any other company in the world, he has to go out and have some sort of an engagement. There's a competition. We're competing with whatever dollars that is out there. We're competing with our sisters, Guinea. We're competing with our sisters, Sierra Leone. We're competing with Ivory Coast, Ghana, and all of the West African states. So if the president have the opportunity to utilize his popularity for him to get whatever amount of money that he can get for our people, we welcome it. However, it's the money that coming in, the utilization, the end result is what we should look at. Other than that, I think the president have the right, and he must go out and campaign and beg for money if he can. Now, let's look at 2023. The young man made a statement here, and I don't want to reduce it to such, but he said $1 billion rice industry, $1 billion. I hope he's talking about billion Liberian dollars. Because if it's $1 billion US coming out of Liberia economic situation, then perhaps George will deserve 50 more years.
Look, thank you. And here's what I want to say. And I just want to jump on the word of the Liberal Progressive there, that the CRC of the Economic Freedom Fighter, I think is actually very remote from the truth and what is happening in Liberia. Because for the first thing, if you say you're going to reproduction, the first thing is that there are so many things that's around.
Okay, no, go ahead. Carry on.
There are so many things that's around economic activity in the country. There are certain things that don't immediately, bring back, some returns, economic returns, and there's something that do right away. Like for roads, if you are going to invest in agriculture, you don't have road. Are you going to fly the rice from the farm to where it's supposed to be stored, to be distributed? No, you have to build roads. And how does that investment create return right away? No, it doesn't. And that's the thing. That's the problem with Liberia. And that's what we'll continue to say, that people who want to take leadership in Liberia, they lack a lot of ideas. And those who have the ideas don't have the ability to take leadership. And that's what the problem. But the EFF is also trying to portray that same idea of not having any idea, not any whatsoever, how to move this country forward. They're just there to, get incorporated in the system, like you said, to be, stratified, and then boom, the economic viability, just like our senator has done, who has, taken the economy from the toilet and put it in his pocket, and he's now wearing all of the flashy clothes. That's what people do.
Okay.
Now he's stepping on the wrong side of the coin.
Okay, Koto, just call the number. Let me see, because he called on the WhatsApp. Let me go back to him. Just call the 682 number, and hopefully I can get you on. Okay, Ty, CRC, you want to respond?
Yeah, I want to respond. Apparently, my brother from Liberty Party, he making the conversation more of a partisan conversation, and then my brother from CDC, he's trying to a little bit justify, for his party. But get me clear, I am not narrowing my conversation to George Weah. My conversation is not just about George Weah. My conversation is about having presidents without vision. I said presidents without vision. Now, you're talking about road constructions and how road construction can pay back, in a very great form in terms of economic viability. I did not say to you that road construction means nothing to economic reform. I'm saying to you, our design of the economy is such that we will not be running after $5 million. We would rather run after money that can be invested through programs that the economic return will be huge. And I gave you an example. I said, take for example the rice. Take for example, how many bags of rice? Let's do the math. How many bags of rice make a ton? 40 bags. 40 bags make a ton. And we are importing 370,000 metric ton rice. So 40 times 300,000 to the math, and you come back times it by $14 and know exactly the worth of the market. It's not a big science. You don't need to be a scientist to do that. Come and see. You can do that by yourself right now and know the worth of the market. This is hundreds of millions of dollars industry. So I'm saying to you, why should we be sending all these funds over the years to China? To India, to Pakistan, to Bangladesh, to Bahrain? All you need to do as a responsible government, develop a proposal. Develop a proposal in a commercial form. And that proposal, first objective, should be about addressing the food insecurity in the country.
Okay.
The second objective of that proposal should be about increasing the revenue envelope of the country. So you must have objective for that proposal. Now, when you develop that proposal, you can now go to World Bank. You can go to USAID. You can go to Great Britain, you can go to China, you can go to the USA and say, look, I want to borrow money, but the goal of borrowing the money is for me to be able to address the food insecurity in my country, one, and as well to develop a strong economic, stability. So this is how I want to utilize the money. This is the time frame for the investment. This investment, all the time period, I can be able to pay you back this, in this trenches. So when you do that kind of proposal, anybody will see you as a responsible government and give you money instead of, giving you peanut. You go to Africa China Summit, they give you $50 million. What can $50 million do for you? So every year you are running to Africa China Summit. Every year you run into the other summit. What is that money doing for you in terms of providing security for your people, economic security for your people? So I'm not saying, do not go out there to go look for money. You're getting me wrong. But I'm saying go out there to look for money on purpose, on clear plan. that tomorrow the citizen can look at your plan and say, look, you borrow this money to pay back in a given period. You borrow the money for this objective, but you are not achieving this. But right now, people go out there to bring $5 million. The next budget year, $5 million gone. I mean, you're looking for some again. There's nothing that we are achieving, so we're just in a cycle. So I'm saying industrialize the country. What the argument I'm making is let us industrialize the country. When we go out to beg for money, let that begging be for industrializing the country. It shouldn't be about begging for $5 million. $5 million cannot solve the country problem. That is the knowledge that I'm making. I'm not stopping the country from going out to beg or to ask. But ask in a way that you can use something meaningful to industrialize the country. Other nations are doing it. Like I said, South Africa,
Mr. So,
because most of the big investment in South Africa are owned by the state. So when South Africa go to China-Africa Summit, the last time I went in South Africa, when I went to the China-Africa, China gave South Africa $14 billion. Because they know they get paid back. When you industrialize a country, you can get any value. Anybody can attach value. As it stands right now, you put Liberia among the rest of the other countries that go to China-Africa Summit, Liberia either walking away with $40 million or $20 billion, while other countries are walking away with $100, $200 billion. Is that not an embarrassment for us? Let's be real, gentlemen. Reduce the political party anxiety. Let's face the fact. This is a problem. We must find a way to solve it. It is not about CDC. It is not about the Liberal Party. It is not about EFFL. It is a fact. We must address it. That is the point I'm making. I'm not stopping anybody from going to go look for money. No. But I'm trying to let you know that our goal as EFFL is to industrialize the country. And the way to do it is not to go beg for $5 million. The way to do it is to put together a blueprint, a proposal, that is more on that commercial, that people can see and see value in it. That when you give us the money, you know straight that we're going to pay your money back.
All right. Okay. So that's it. We want to thank you. We keep checking with you. Please keep us posted. So it seems that you're still going to be contesting for Mount Gibby County, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to contest in 2023. That's my goal. I'm going to compete for the election because, like I said, to you, look, there are many things we need to change in the country. The laws, we need to make new laws, but yet we need to change most of the laws we have. Today, we have all the lawmakers, majority opposition lawmakers in the legislature. They are now debating that the war crime code issue cannot move forward because of some laws that were enacted by the transitional government, that provided impunity for people.
Understood.
How long are we going to sit and watch people talk about enacting law that protect the PRC and blah blah? If there's a law that is protecting the PRC or that created room for impunity that Prince Johnson always talking about, what is stopping us from taking that law and repealing that law to meet present day reality, so that those who committed mayhem in our country can be prosecuted and brought to book? What is stopping us? What is stopping us from strengthening our laws? So those of us who be in opposition, I was in opposition during Mr. Sally's time. We fought so many times for the establishment of war and economic crime. We fought so many times.
So
did not live.
All right. See, I see it. We are out of time. We're gonna. This is an ongoing conversation now. There's a full declaration, and hopefully the details going to be coming out. And in a sense, one good thing I like, you always answer the media call. You are not a selective guy where to go, because other people try to avoid questions. What is the message you're leaving with us here before we let you go?
One thing I can assure you is that where we are now as a nation, and my brother from the CDC, perhaps you need to wear the red, white, and blue cap on your head tonight. We all have to come together to give Georgia a one term. The country where it is now, I can guarantee you Liberia is not going anywhere. I can guarantee you that. And to be a good citizen, it is to take Georgia out of power in 2023. As to who replaced Georgia in 2023, we must not learn to replace roles with roles, or criminals by criminals, or with criminals. We must all watch out. Listen to the different people that want to be.
Are you saying that? Are you saying the president? Are you saying the president is criminal?
The administration is criminal. And once you have administration and administration a criminal, you're a criminal.
So how
because the administration is criminal.
So how we got to this point?
Without facts.
So I'm saying to you, we got here because we made wrong decision in 2023.
Is the administration being convicted?
The administration is convicted by actions, by public opinions, by records, by everything else. The administration is convicted.
So where is the court?
There's no way. Where is the court?
Yeah.
The court is a public. The court is right in the public.
So CRC, if you were to be convicted by opinion, is that something you're going to accept?
When I say opinion, take for example what happened with the audit report that came a few days ago.
So is that a slip of tongue?
The audit report regarding the stimulus package. What happened? Am I the one? What happened to the audit report that led to, that came out immediately after that, the IAA man got killed? What happened to that audit report? Is that a public opinion? No. What happened to the $71,000, that, disappear on the fake medicine that came from Madagascar? Is that opinion? No. What happened with the report, that came up, with the $25 million mobile exercise? The report clearly said that they did not follow any procedure, any financial procedure. Is that public opinion? No. That's conviction because these are documentations.
No, I'm getting the outline from you, but when you kind of throw that sort of generic name out there, then I'm also on an obligation to go further. All right, CRC, we want to thank you.
Yeah, so I can go and count. I can count. The list is just endless. I can names, the number of situations that have led to us saying the administration is criminal. So I'm saying to you, we cannot replace criminals with another group of criminals.
All right. Thank you so much for having you here. Please, our phone lines are open. Let us know anytime you can't. We're going to have you here. Thank you so much. Okay, let me go to my guys. Gentlemen, are you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Yeah, so if I can get one minute each before we can transition to the last talking point before we wrap it up for the day. What have you guys sensed out? Libra, we're not hearing you. Now you will close your line and then you tell me, say, I'm trying to sanction you.
Don't try it.
Don't be afraid of me. I always like to just tell you as it is.
Don't do that to me. I'm still here. I'm still here. No, on a very serious note, Mr. So these are things, and I think Mr. Wida will agree with me. Having these kinds of conversations, they're very, very helpful. The young man started with a high-lying position. And as time goes by, when he started facing some serious but intellectual challenges, he started softening his voice, and I mean not his voice, his logic, and becoming his logic. At time went by, he became a thing that we all can deal with. Okay, now let's look at the statement he made here. And I've been saying this here for a very long time. The idea of you, it doesn't have to be a country, any governmental agency, or even in your own private business. If you want to do anything, go out to secure a loan, to go out and solicit a fund, you have to have a binder, a project explanation. Why, how, when, and everything else. That is the binder that will speak for you. So I do agree with him, because if the president is going out to solicit fund and only going based on his popularity, yeah, then he's going to get the kind of money he's getting. I agree with him. But if he were to go out with a true backing of professionals in areas, specialized area, why they want the money, and I think people will take you serious. So that I agree with him. And I'm not too sure if this government is not doing that. I don't know that for sure, but I do agree with him that these are kinds of things that will help an institution, that will help the government. Now, going back to that point.
Well, Samson, hold on 1 second. I know there's Koto been calling from his sister network, SKTV, about the guy. He was on the WhatsApp. So I'm going to come back to you. Let me go to Koto. Koto, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, Mr. So.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't on purpose because you were calling on WhatsApp, so there was no way that I could really merge the number. But I believe you've been listening to him. Yeah, you've been listening to him extensively. I thank you for chipping in here. What do you sense out from his conversation here this evening?
Yeah, first I want to say thank you, to your studio guests there, and also your panelists, Mr. To and the other guy there. I want to say thank you for allowing me to talk on your show. And also to the viewers, I want to say how you all doing today?
Great.
Okay,
thank you.
When I was listening, I listened to Mr. To coming on guy who said that they had their own plan and analyzing their own plan towards, partaking into the electoral process. And then he said that these guys will have, merged, which I really appreciated because the multiple political party is not necessary. If most of the, political parties who have merged up, it would be better off, for Liberia. But then my problem I have with Mr. To's response was that he stated that with the Liberty Party, their plans, they were not going to be publishing their plans because other people, will follow their plans and whatever. I thought that was not fair, to the Liberian people because here we are.
The man keeping it on the base so we can see it. Then he said, but he wants to lead or giving state power.
Yeah, but I see people voting for this kind of political parties because these people need to come up with their plans. And yet to see a better platform that I will really be part of. And that's why right now I'm not a member of any political party.
Do you sympathize with any political party?
Yeah, I sympathize with the CDC ones and sympathize with the Labour, the UP. That was based on candidates. I support that candidates, individuals, not the political, not the party. And, that's why I have been on. But to really get involved into a political party, I have had serious problem with the platform. Because I'm yet to see a political party coming out to exhibit itself as an institution, a well-based institution, not based on an individual support on a political party.
Wow. Out of the 20, potentially 20 or 19, including...
So far, I listened to the chairman, Anemoda, for UP, who just... when he was interviewed by the Giant the other time, he talked about the UP plan where they were using UP as a political party that would be sufficient and self-generating income, which I thought it were. But for the implementation aspect, I haven't seen that yet.
So, okay. So let me get it right. Liberty Party is not on your agenda, right? Something to party.
Not yet. I haven't seen it. He said it, and I appreciated the idea, but I'm yet to see the implementation. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
We'll bring you to the CDC. Don't worry. We'll bring you to the CDC.
Well, my guest there that you were speaking to, with the point he was stressing about this, the country going out to generate income. And I'm having serious problem with that. The country cannot just go out to solicit funds just to come and pay salary and expend the money. They should be able to get money to come and invest and then have a return on the money that they will be, getting out there. But what I see is that they just get the money, bring it in, and just, eat the money or expend the money without return. So I have serious problem with that.
Okay.
You can just credit and eat it, and you later who you expect to pay the debt that you accumulate.
The next day we bring your own.
That's not fair for the Liberian people who did not, create that situation and to suffer it. And that's why we have been going to suffer it that we did not accrue. Because people there eat the money and then we gotta go and pay in the future. That's not fair for the Liberian people.
Okay.
So I want to say thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen.
Yes, let me come in there. Yeah, I just want to thank Sis Koto. I'm hoping that one day we're going to cross path and we're going to make sure that she comes to the CDC. The CDC is a place to be because in CDC there's no big, there's no small. We share ideas. That's one of the things I want to say. But one thing I want to mention here as well is that on the economic front of Liberia, I think people find it difficult to understand the dynamics that play when it comes to borrowing money from either the World Bank or the other institutions, financial institutions like the African Development Bank or whatever it is. I think the problem is that people fail to understand is that you cannot borrow money beyond or above your means. The problem is that people find out that if Kenya goes there, Kenya gets more money, and when Liberia goes there, we get peanuts. It's because we don't have money. That's why. If your budget, your entire budget is $535 million, you cannot borrow above that. But for Kenya, because their budget is bigger, they can borrow. Even for us that are in the Western world, we understand that if you go to borrow money from a bank, they would look at your income. What do you have? What do you get? What is your expenditure? Before they can borrow money. So your income determines how much you can borrow. And that too extends to a country. And I think people miss that and they see that, these people went there, they got more money. How come Liberia went there, we got little money? It's because we don't have a revenue base to accommodate that. And one of the things I also want to say before I can give the floor is that the way in which Liberians want development will not happen simply because our population cannot meet that demand that we are trying to put forward. Here is why. If I want to build maybe a tire company now to manufacture tires, Liberia got a robot, that's good. But if I build a factory in Liberia, I can only sell maybe 10 tires in a month. If I build now, sell maybe 50 tires, where do I make that investment? Let's be fair to ourselves. Liberia, so the population of Liberia and the demand and the purchasing power of Liberia does not attract certain investment, and it's going to take time before we can be able to get to that. If we're going to force it now, we're not going to get anywhere.
So the Liberal,
yes, Mr. So,
it sounds like how to call the 3 letters CDC talking point or what? Is that why it sounds like?
It's not flying. It's going nowhere. It stays right there in Australia, where Mr. Wheeler is, and they stay right there because nobody's buying that line. Now, Mr. So, when we come to these kinds of platforms, we should be versatile. We should be able to speak from one point to another, and I think that make you somebody who perhaps Liberian or even you yourself might be considered somebody who can hold their own. Now, economic information, economic issues, and what have you, those are very difficult things, especially if you're not in those areas. If those are not areas of practice. And Mr. Wheeler and I, we can quickly excuse ourselves in this type of conversation. However, the fact that we are learned people, we have the ability to stay right in this room and have a conversation. Having said that, Mr. So, the economic situation in Liberia should be able to go, as this young man, CRC corrected, if Liberia were to put the books together, a serious binder together. Liberia has diamond, Liberia has gold, Liberia has iron ore that people are still mining. They are setting a mountain in Liberia that have not been touched. So those kinds of things, the rubber, even the rubber, because that's our land. We can mortgage those things. But I'm being very serious. So Liberia do have a portfolio that they can put together and say, based on what we have, this can be the collateral that we can use. However, another thing that I want to say, and I hope the young man, Mr. Wheeler, will agree with me, the popularity, and I keep making that reference, the popularity of Dr. Weah alone can help us, except the inept behavior around Dr. Weah will not allow that. These people should go out and utilize this young man who is our president, who is loved all over the world, to go out and utilize this popularity with some set of intellectual and some set of a binder that will be able to back whatever they go out to ask for a specific amount. But Dr. Weir and his people, they're just like celebrity. They are just like how do you call it? The entourage. They just go. There are some that don't even perform nothing. They just ride a car, and that's exactly what is happening here. The entourage, they got nothing to give. They don't know how to produce, and so they depend on the popularity of a single person to bring in millions and millions of dollars in this country. And it's not something that you can sneeze at. It's very difficult.
Okay, gentlemen, let's listen to this editorial here from our sister network, the African Star newspaper.
Here is an African Star news editorial entitled, Liberia, a robust foreign policy implementation is needed to salvage the country's international image. Liberia's foreign policy implementation appears to be challenged, especially for a country struggling to attract much-needed foreign investments to help rescue the West African nation's economy and development goals. It seems that the country's international image is facing serious problems with an incapacitated Minister of Foreign Affairs and a president who demonstrate gross limitation to shepherding a robust foreign policy and articulating the country's interest in order to respond to unfavorable sentiments. African Star observes that it is becoming quite clear that Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimaya is saddled with infighting, poor public perception, lack of international recognition, and a heavy cloud of sexual harassment allegations. At a time when a vigorous foreign policy posture is needed to establish Liberia once again as a vibrant international player, the Liberian presidency and foreign minister appear to demonstrate gross indifference in helping Liberia regain its status in the international community. These impediments, to a large extent, serve as a liability to Liberia. For example, Minister Kimaya enjoys no confidence or respect from international players and organizations. This is evidenced by his lack of travels or ability to attract international investments and global solidarity to help Liberia migrate from its place of no consequence. Liberians continue to ask where the international connections are and other heads of government and donors since the inauguration of the Weir administration. For whatever reason, other heads of state, even from Africa, have stayed away from Liberia, although President Weir has made several trips to visit other countries. The government has been unable to convince favorable participation in the country's investment program. African Star observes that of grave importance is the ill-advised decision of the Liberian Senate to proceed with confirmation of Minister Kimaya, who is yet to clear his name of very serious allegations of sexual harassment when he served as the top envoy to the United Nations in New York. More concerning also is the decision of the Liberian Senate recently to elevate a former warlord, Senator Prince Wise Johnson, accused of heinous atrocities, to head its defense subcommittee. The same Liberian Senate also voted to elect Grand Cape Mount County's Senator Varney Sherman as chair of the Judiciary Committee, a lawmaker whom the U.S. has sanctioned for corruption. According to the U.S. government, and I quote, Sherman is designated for being a foreign person who is a current or former government official responsible for or complicit in or directly or indirectly engaged in corruption, including the misappropriation of state assets, the expropriation of private assets for personal gain, corruption related to government contracts, or the extraction of natural resources or bribery, end of quote. The egregious lapses of judgment on the part of the Senate triggered a harsh and angry response from the Americans, which embarrassed all Liberians. We view these actions by the Liberian Senate as betrayal of probity and their duty to ensure that only the best and most qualified are confirmed for public service, because the Liberian Senate has a shameful history of making questionable decisions along party lines and personal interests against the good of the Liberian nation. While African Star maintains the stance that Minister Kimaya is innocent of any accusations until proven guilty in a court of law, this newspaper maintains that the allegations have tainted public and international opinion of the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Liberia. Public view of Mr. Kimaya is quite dim. African Star has no confirmation of rumors that Minister Kimaya has been denied a visa to the United States, since such matters are not publicly spoken of by the American Embassy near Monrovia. If the foreign minister cannot freely travel, it is a problem for the implementation and articulation of the foreign policy of Liberia. However, the Liberian Ministry of Information's press statement issued recently, quoting President Weah, says, embattled Foreign Minister Kimaya still enjoys his confidence while the country remains isolated internationally. Also, since the recall of Minister Kimaya from the United Nations in September 2020 to serve in his current position, the post of permanent representative remains conspicuously vacant. Liberia maintains underserved and underrepresented at the United Nations without any explanation from President Weah, who, under the Constitution of Liberia, is empowered to conduct the foreign affairs of the Republic. Secondly, the key post of Liberia's trade representative to the United States has remained vacant over 2 years since Madame Gurley Gibson Schwartz, who was once occupying the post, was elevated to ambassador to the Court of St. James, the United Kingdom. These vexing scenarios only beg the question of why President Weah has not appointed a qualified Liberian, irrespective of political leaning, except that such an individual is not from the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change. This then points to cronyism to the detriment of Liberia's foreign policy. African Star makes the following recommendations to the Weah administration. 1. That President Weah constitute an advisory board of experienced foreign service officials, irrespective of political background, to assist him navigate international matters with the view of reshaping Liberia's foreign policy. 2. That the executive mansion identify and nominate a career diplomat to serve as permanent representative to the United Nations, and also fill the post of trade representative to the United States, respectively, as a matter of urgency, irrespective of political background. 3. That President Weah reevaluate the incremental barriers that are inhibiting the foreign minister from effectively performing his lawful responsibility by requesting him to temporarily step aside to focus on clearing his name of the sexual allegations by his accuser and other impediments. 4. The U.S. Embassy's consideration of any visa application for Minister Kimaya be conditioned on his full questioning by police in New York over sexual harassment allegations. 5. That President Weah order the conclusion and publication of the result of the Foreign Ministry's investigation of sexual harassment allegations leveled against Ambassador Kimaya by an employee of the Liberian mission at the United Nations. 6. That the U.S. government waive diplomatic immunity for Minister Kimaya and impress on the government of Liberia that he presents himself to local police in New York for questioning. And 7, that the Liberian Senate resist the unpatriotic pattern of confirming unqualified nominees to positions in government that often result in harming and degrading the standing of the Liberian state. African Star strongly believes that the implementation of these recommendations will help in moving Liberia's foreign policy agenda towards a favorable dimension so that the country can regain its role as a respected member in the international community and attract foreign investments. African Star reminds Liberians that their welfare is heavily impacted by the credibility of the individuals who interact with the international community. We at the African Star reaffirm our commitment to using our platform to facilitate the collaborative implementation of our recommendations to move Liberia forward. This editorial represents the view of the editorial board of Africans.
Okay, gentlemen, are you guys there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
We're here.
Good. That's the editorial start. This we're going to find time for a lot of.
Before we do that, Mr. So.
Not today. We're not going to discuss that. Yeah.
No, hold on, Mr. So. I know this is your show. You can sanction me if you want.
Oh,
we're not going to have people. We're not going to have something like this one-way communication where the African Star come and lecture us based on editorial opinion. These people need to come after they have the right to make their editorial opinion. But when they do that, bring them on here so that they can face their brothers and sisters who they're intending for their editorial opinion to be heard, so that perhaps they can be questioned. You can't have these people hiding behind some sort of an editorial opinion, and we've got out here for 10 minutes listening to them, one-way traffic, only to us. They're not responding to us. Mr. So, this is a platform that you yourself have worked so hard for. Let's give the Liberian people the opportunity to question whoever have issue with whatever that is happening. We heard the man spoke for almost 10 minutes exclusively on the Minister of Foreign Ministry. That's fine. I know the story. But if you're going to come out and make these kinds of editorial positions, avail yourself to the Liberian people and take one or two questions sometimes.
Seriously, do you understand the context of editorial?
But you can't hide behind that. Even New York Times, Washington Post, the editorials from time to time avail themselves to the American people to be questioned from one point to another.
On Radio Total?
Mr. So, check. Okay. I'm being serious.
Okay, it's your request. Make a formal request, and the executive going to push that up and see it, and we can have them here to make analysis. But in the last, first, we want to thank you so much. Let's do our last talking point, and it has to do with the interviewed yesterday by evangelist Joshua Bly, and viewer restrictions is advised. We're going to be showing some images here. Image here is painful, but we need to talk these things. All right. I had an interview with him in the past, couple of years ago. But let's just go there. And I'm wondering whether we have the ability to really have and talk about this war crime code and the path leading to war crime code. I am Alfonso Zia, of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Let's listen to this short, and we'll have a discussion.
He was this kind of, legendary figure, and you couldn't not hear about him.
Okay, we're going to leave it right there.
We saw him here, not on camera. We saw him on the ground. We saw him walking, killing people. We saw him naked. I tried calculating how many people are killed. It's more than 10,000.
Okay, we're just going to give us away. There are certain things that we really regard here. This is you can go and see it. But Mr. Toll, let's have this conversation here. This conversation is not going away. It has read germinated to the extent that it began to fall on fertile soil in different form, shape, from inside Liberia, from here, with respect to this war crime court here. But I'm wondering here, gentlemen, for us to have an honest conversation. Again, if you are here for entertainment, we don't entertain here. This is not an amusement center here. We try to discuss issues, and we don't talk things that you necessarily have to agree with or to appease you. No, we go strictly to the point and have this discussion here. Gentlemen, talk to me. Do we have the guts? Right? Do we have the courage? Do we have the conviction to talk about this war crime code? Do we have the convictions of this sort of what they call forgiveness? And are we encouraging those that have committed these crimes, whatever it is, are we willing to have a genuine conversation with them? Let me start with Guido.
Look, Mr. So, I think you already know my position when it comes to this war and economic crime code. I'm against it. Look, South Africa did an alternative, and even Rwanda did an alternative. For those who think that the only way Liberia is going to move forward is to put people in prison, I think that's not the way. I think this is visiting our past. I think we can do better, than going back to the past to live there. We don't live there anymore. We have moved on. It's been almost 18 years after the war. And going back there to refresh our memory of the atrocity that happened, I think is a disservice to us and those who even lost their relatives. Myself, I lost a lot of relatives in the war. And I think by going back to, talking about who killed who, I think it's going to bring a lot of bad memories back. I think what we need to do is to improve our lives and move forward as a country.
So you don't want us to talk about it? Is that what you're saying?
Look, I think what can be done, like I mentioned, I'm against the criminal part of it, going to court and putting people in prison. I'm against it. I think we can have a dialogue. We can talk about who did what, just like Bly did. I've listened to Bly as a kid as well. I was in Ivory Coast. He went there. He explained everything he did to people, and at the time we were still refugees. And I understand what it is. I think that should serve as a pathway, to reconciliation or the genuine peace. Because look, if we want to say the only way we will move forward is to find people in prison, Chancellor is in prison. What has it done to us? Because he killed a lot of people as well. He's in prison. He hasn't done anything anyway. He hasn't changed anyone's life. I think what we need to do is to sit on the Palaver Hut, and those who committed these atrocities can come, forward and explain to ask for forgiveness, just like Bly is doing on every platform these days. I think it's the way to move forward. Then going to court and opening all wounds.
The Liberal Progressive.
Yes, Mr. So I have a little bit different view than Mr. Wheeler. I am for discussion. But before I say that, Mr. So let me just say here very quickly that we here on Liberian Public Radio, we are not here to sugarcoat anything. Discussion is better, but it must be done in honesty, and it must be done sincerely. And I think that many times here, you as a host, I'm here as one of your panelists, but most of the time I don't agree with you, and I say it, and you don't agree with me in many things. You say it, so is any one of us here. So I think the audience should be expecting some honest discussion. Having said that, Mr. So, let me just go back to this war crime code issue. For me, there are two ways this thing can be approached. I said for me, not for many of you. I said for me. Number one, we can come to this thing if we're sincere, my opinion. If we're sincere to get this thing moving, we have to come to this thing with an idea of trying to find out what happened, and not as a reason to punish Liberians. There were many Liberians that was killed. Many of us have relatives that was killed. Many of us have friends, mother, father, they were killed. And people are still hurting. But we cannot come to this thing to say the end result is to put people in prison. Now, you can do that. You can do that. Only if those who the Liberians have identified have been fully responsible, refuse to come and be contrite with the action, to be conciliatory with other Liberians, and to even come out and outright apologize for their behavior. If they refuse to do that, those are the kinds of people, perhaps you would say, then this person must be, Liberian must be asked what type of punishment that this person must be given, because you can't go unpunished on these kinds of stuff. Another point here, Mr. So.
When you say punish, when you say punish, what specifically are you referring to?
Well, that would be left with Liberians to come up with a punishment prescription that they have. I'm not going to sit here and tell them this. But what I want to say on this, Mr.
So let's get it right. Let's put the nail on the head for the benefit of our great people that are following us. Liberians should decide. It seems to me that then we should, or Liberia or Liberians should ignore the idea of war crime court. Is that a direction?
No, they can still come out with the war crime court. Having a war crime court does not necessarily mean that any other dick and done, whoever committed whatever you want to, but Liberian think something, that person belongs in jail. That's not my own view. Now, let me just go on to finish my point here, Mr. So. The other second point that I want to make on this is this. If Liberians think this discussion must be held, which I agree with, but if they think that they're just going to pick few people among many of us, and every one of us are responsible for this war, especially those of us that are much older, because some of us, while we were here in the United States, were contributing to our kingsmen back home. And what to say that if whatever contribution you made from here, that those contributions were not used to purchase guns to kill other Liberians. What is your own defense? Now, my thing is, we shouldn't come out here and say just few people, Dr. Bole, Prince Johnson, Alihari Kroman, and Sekou Kone, and all of those people that are members or hierarchy of these rebel leadership and what have you. Yes, you can go after them. But if you just pick few people out and forget about those who financed the war, those who were responsible, why were they financing? Why were they using their own money to pay for war material to kill other Liberians? These people must have reason as well. Every one of us must be given the opportunity to express ourselves, to say to the Liberian people what happened. At the end, the Liberians that I know will find reason within us to forgive and move on. Because by that point, Mr. So, many of us will have found solace in the fact that someone have explained to us why they did what they did. I might not agree with you, but perhaps your reason, other Liberians say, well, if I was in that position, maybe I would do the same thing. Then to just be quiet and sweep this thing under the rug, it's going to come up. It's like a wound that is not healed, and you put plaster on it. It's going to hurt.
So, gentlemen, let's get it right here. Meaning the process of even one war crime code, it must be a simultaneous action to people who help to facilitate the crime to, first of all, to be executed. That is people who bought the gun, the financials, and all of that. And that's just looking at the implementers. Is that correct? Is that where you're going?
That's what I'm saying. Every one of us. Even because let me just give you an example, and this is a very quick one. Back in 1985, 86, around that time, I was still in Ohio, and we went to a meeting. When we came back from that meeting, many Liberians were selling sweater, they were selling T-shirt, free Liberia, and each of those sweater and T-shirt was like $25, $30. And when we went back to the same meeting, the question was asked, what was the purpose of that? For freedom fighter. For freedom fighter. So many of us that were here in the United States at the time are fully responsible. We participated. Whether we went in and took actual gun to shoot or not, but the fact that you contributed financially, you must be held responsible as well.
Okay, I'm going to play a little bit soundbite what happens yesterday on Spawn TV here. But before that, let me get a take from both of you here. Do you think the issue of this war crime court, the executors, the financiers, those whatever way directly or indirectly, Do you guys think we as a Liberian, including myself and both of you, the panelists, do you think are we having an honest and genuine conversation without sentiment? Are we having that kind of conversation, or what sort of conversations are we having? Are we having this conversation to say, okay, the entire country, every little child, the born unborn, they were all hurt. We need to have this conversation to make sure that this sort of things, it doesn't occur, it doesn't happen anymore in our existence. Are we having that conversation, or is it about, okay, like you said, put somebody behind the bar, get 1 or 2, 3%? Yes, these people are responsible.
Look, let me come in there, Mr. Su. And I think that's where a lot of people disagree with me. I think people think by putting people behind bars will heal their wounds. And I lost people in the war as well. And I mean, it's a human instinct, you know, to want to pay back or to want to get a redress right away. But I don't think putting people in prison will bring anyone back. We will not do anything for anyone. What we need to do is to have an honest conversation. And I think people are trying to polarize this thing. People are trying to put in the sentiments. People are trying to make it political because they feel that if someone is out of the way, their political feel will be clearer for them because they are not on the same side. So they are trying to push for this to make sure that this person is intimidated. And I see it everywhere nowadays. People come to for people who are currently trying to advocate for the War Economic Crime Code. They are targeting people. And I don't think that's what a court should be established for. A court should be established to find justice, to find the truth, to make sure that if you are culpable, you will have to be punished. Not the reverse, not to punish you before they bring the court. Because I think what people are doing now is they are trying to victimize people before even bringing them to the court to try them. So in the public opinion, the court of public opinion, these people are already guilty. They are certain people. And then before the court comes. And that's what the problem is. And I think that's what will bring Liberia to a point where we'll come to our knees again. Because if, for instance, let's take, for instance, George Bulley, let's take, for instance, Prince Johnson, they now say, okay, because you guys are haunting us, we're going to leave Monrovia and go back to our villages. Where would that leave us? I think Liberia is going to get to a point where we will have to face our past again. So for me, what I think, this war ended 18 years ago. And if we have to visit our past after 18 years, we could have done this maybe 10 years ago. We could have done it. Well, no, that didn't happen. It has reached where it has passed 18 years and we want to go and visit it. And I always give an example. I said South Africa. South Africans were killed in mass. They went to the white man and said, look, we forgive you. This is our country. We're going to move our country forward. Rwandans, thousands and millions of Rwandans were killed, the Tutsi and the Hutus. They did not take anyone to court. They reconciled. They said they don't want to visit their past and their country is booming. For Liberia, only because we want to have certain people who are not part of our political ideology to put them behind bars. So we want to bring up court. I think that is counterproductive and it's going to lead us to a lot of problems than we anticipate.
The liberal?
Yeah, Mr. So once again, just a little, let me differ a little bit with my own brother here. And the point here is this. Once again, I think we cannot come to these kinds of conversations and try to divorce our emotion out of them. It's just not possible because these are very emotional charged issues that we're going to be discussing. And so we should expect our brothers and sisters to be sentimental. There's no question asked. The question is, do we have the ability as Liberians to be able to stand and be able to accept other opinions as we're discussing these things? Do we have the ability to be able to understand each other's point, to sympathize whether he's guilty in your mind or what have you, but to sympathize with that? What do I mean by that? Let's just take for Prince Johnson, because he's the most the face of this whole war crime and criminal, whatever. Prince Johnson, what was the reason why the Prince Johnson decided to be heavily involved into this Liberian civil war? The Prince Johnson gathered one money and said, you know what, the sun is shining good, I'm going to go start a war. Or was Prince Johnson based on circumstances that surrounding the entire process, got him to get involved. Those are Prince Johnson, he's a son of Liberia. In other words, somebody in Liberia born here, he still got relative in the country. We should approach this thing as a way of finding solution, as a way of trying to educate the young people, as a way to find why these things happen, so that perhaps when we see these things coming next time, we can say, you know what, we've been here before. Let us try to learn from our mistake and then move on. This is history. We cannot close the door. Perhaps the war crime court, maybe the connotation of court, perhaps it's disturbing to many people. But we as Liberians, we have the right to understand what happened. We as Liberians, we can come to this process and say, okay, today we decide we don't want to use the word court. Let's use another terminology that will still be able to bring our brothers and sisters into this process to find out why they did what they did. To our own brothers and sisters, we are Liberians, all of us. You can't take me out of here and say, go back to Africa. I'm not going to Africa. I'm not from Ivory Coast. I am from Liberia. But look at the street of Monrovia. You have perpetrators passing by victims. The victims know their perpetrator. They know these people, and they're passing by each other. Sooner or later, it's going to explode. You can't keep it down unless, I believe, you have a genuine conversation about this.
Okay, let me play this little clip here, courtesy of Sister Network Spawn TV. 4 or 5 years ago, I had an interview with the guy called General Botnicket, now evangelist Joshua Milton Bly. Let's listen to a little piece of it, and then we'll come right back to the discussion.
Re-emerge into the scene and did equal or even more than what I did. And so that was my emphasis. My kinsmen were not happy. We were continuing in the war period, and I was betraying the tribe by explaining the powers that I operated with. Some of them thought I was ungrateful for the powers that was giving me, and I was exposing it. And so when the TRC was announced, I thought it was an opportunity. I thought it was an opportunity to reach bigger part of Liberia and tell them what I did and how it is possible for reoccurring.
Okay, we don't want to play the whole thing. People monitor it. It's out there, and people have been talking about remorseful. And I listened to that program, and I also been saying some of the things that he have been doing. Now that has been the argument, and we're all going to have a different views when it comes to this, because people were hurt in different forms, in different shapes, whatever it is. Bottom line, the country heavily suffer, and we yet to recover. But this is the guy now. He is he's seeking redemption. He say he's sorry for what he did, and he too, considering his age at the time, that's another greater portion of it. But we still have this sort of unsettled dust, not just only with the warlords, but with even all of us as Liberians, as to how people perceive it, to say, no, it must be anyhow this way, it must be anyhow this way. And we saw the proliferations of these different armed faction groups, all because of insecurity, and people were coming to protect their own people. They said, oh, I have to do this, and everybody was fighting for themselves. So that has been the problem, and it is still the problem. So, and I saw that yesterday, and I said, like, again, we just do not have, you and I, we just do not have control of people's emotions. They have right to say what they say. But I'm wondering, sometimes our thought process, when these things happen, and I do not expect it to go away suddenly, overnight, within an instant, but maybe to pay attention and to see whether this person is authentic, and to see whether this person is actually speaking from other, because it's in the Bible. All right, these are not just for portions of humanity, but for the humanity of all. That includes, right, people or persons that were broken and people that were hurt. And he himself said yesterday he's a victim. But there are others who are not even coming. So I'm wondering here, the million-dollar questions, if all of these warlords, if they are to come today to say we are sorry what we did, this and that, do we have that ability? Do we have that forgiving spirit to say, okay, let them go? Are we also willing to go beyond the red line? People who pumps millions and thousands of dollars, whether it was their own money or whether it was Liberia's money, because some of them were former government official, are we also get these people to root these people out to do the same thing? Or are we just focusing on those who implemented the physical action?
And look, Mr. So, thank you for that. And I think that's
and the reason I'm asking this question, it might sound silly, it might sound something, but it is what it is. I too faced the war. I have a greater portion of it. My entire family, we were at the port of Monrovia. We were on that bus that were taken to Ecomo base when a Gambian contingent, Captain Gay, rescued that, quote unquote, because people felt everybody that were to resettle at the port of Monrovia, they thought everybody were crime people. That was not the case. I was within LPMC warehouse where the Guinean contingents were based when Peter Thomas, who was the entire police director, I was one of those evacuated from the barrack. In fact, let's say in the barrack from the BTC, because that was the only enclave, if you were a crime person, that where you could find security, because most of the crime is not a hidden thing. Most of the crime people that were in, their last standing point was at the barracks. Okay, that was their last standing point. And I remember vividly well when we were going to, and when they were taking her at the Ecomo base, the notion, the information that prompted people to even leave. There were other people telling people, "Yeah, don't go," and people said, "They'll go." But we were at the cross. People were at the crossroad. All right, that Ecomo is not taking you out of the country. You will be killed. And we got, because you don't even want to stay around Capitol Bypass, because the last place, Capitol Hill, right around Bassett Team H, former place, left Stephen Tower Estate, that place was also locked down. And that was the only place that you have to seek refuge. But I remember when we passed down, when the trucks rolled down Johnson Street and hit the Busher Island Bridge. And I found out that there was a barricade. The trucks have to be going all like this. And you see thousands of Liberians standing South Wall Street, across the bridge, Vata, and all of those places. And people were throwing signal like this. Which means they're gonna kill people. And when we got to the plate at the port, the next day, then Marshal Pre Johnson came and said, "I told Ecomo to bring you here. To live in exile is a difficult thing. You are not going." And this person died, and this person died. Amazingly, some of the very security personnel, Conater, who used to be with NSA, Larry Milton, who was with the AFL, and other Tabra, they were already people who were at the barrack when evacuation was taking place. But before we get there, they are already crossed Capitol Prince Johnson. And they were identifying people who work with paramilitary institution, immigration, police, the army, the CRD, whether you crown or not. And some of those people, they were picked, and that was the end. I was there when Peter Thomas, the late director Peter Thomas, was taken away. Sam Todif with the NHA, they were taken away, because they had these people who could easily identify you if you work with the police, if you work with the immigration. So that's how this whole thing looked like. There are other people who didn't face the whole narrative of it, but there are people who went through it. Now, to get to this bus stop, to get to this whole point here, it came and it was bloody. People left, and other people said, "Okay, well, I have to go home." And for different forms of reasons, people were in overseas, other people were other places, and they helped to carry other counterforce, whether it was of a good justification, whether it was there. But at that time, there were people who felt they would have to rescue their people. Now, this whole thing came and derailed and went like a train. That's how it looks like. But I'm not sure whether we are having an honest conversation about this whole thing here. And he said that yesterday, and that's very crucial, because politics has factored into it. And so when I hear people like the TRC person who presides over this whole thing, make a judgment, and it's all over the place now, you know, to say, yeah, this person should have been this, the other person should have been that. Then it brings into questioning the fairness of this whole thing. And I'm wondering when were we Liberians? Why are these people, these national leaders, why they can't even make a representation with the international community to say this is what needs to happen, this is what needs to happen to explain their part? It's not happening. It's not happening. Let me put this image out here. Let me give me a break here. This guy here dominate all week. If people from Uganda, if you ever heard of the Lord's Resistant Army, Lord of Uganda, he's been described as one of the dangerous or horrible warlord ever in history. Go and find out about him. Dominic Winners, he's the LR-8 Brigade Commander. What happens after all the decades the war fought in Uganda? Despite of that, the Ugandans, they say, well, we need to take a different path. This is one of his commander. After he calls for redemption, called to be forgiven, because he himself see himself as a victim, not a perpetrator. This is a guy now, he's teaching, mentoring students. So if Joshua Bly say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm doing this now, I'm an evangelist. I mean, I'm not saying that should wipe away. But if Alhaji Kroma, who is in age in time as War 9, Praying Johnson, all of these people, if they are to come to change course, will we have that? Will we come to an understanding? So I'm not sure the kind of conversation that we are really having. Because when you listen to politicians, they have a different tone. When you listen to advocates, they have a different tone. When you listen to radio people, they have a different tone. And that tone seems to be sort of little selective. In my opinion, in my view, that's how I see it. I'm not sure what's the representation to other people. It's not being taken holistically to get a push across the board to say, this is the problem. We have identified the problem. These are the people, and all of these people, we need to hear from them. Where are we heading?
Yeah, Mr. So, and thank you for that. And I really love the way you put it. And that's where I become very unpopular. I think what happened in Liberia was a national tragedy. And I think there is a way that we can, try to learn from it. However, for the mere fact that some people think that if your relative is killed by a car, you go there and burn the car and you think that gives you closure. I don't think it is a way for me personally. And I speak for myself. I think what we need to do is that from what I learned from history, because I was 9 years old when the war started. So from what I learned, and I saw dead bodies as well, and I saw people being killed. But here's what I learned. I think the reason why the war started in the first place was because of corruption, according to what people say. But you find out that even today, our people still throw corruption around. I trust you, my brother, Mr. So. If you are now, maybe you are on this platform, you're being praised by people, oh, good idea, good this. As soon as the government calls you now, you go and sit at the Ministry of Information, they'll consider you corrupt. Without any facts whatsoever. That's why our people die for nothing. Because people will point at you, they say, oh, he was in the government, so he's corrupt. And that becomes fact. And for me, I feel that, look, it is not the way to go. I think we should all look back at the history that we have made, which is not a good one. But what we need to do is to come and sit down together as a family and talk about this thing and make sure that we pass that page. Because if we continue to dwell there, I think we'll continue to be stagnant as a nation, and even emotionally, people will be tormented throughout their lives. And for the fact that people are even pointing at people that this is the person, this is the reason why I want this court to come because of Prince Johnson or this George Bode. I think it's wrong, because let me tell you, I saw my mother, my people in my community clapping for the peacekeeping, not peacekeeping football, the freedom fighters to come to town. That was support to the war. If they did not spend money, they were clapping for these people to come. So for me, it was not okay. Let me tell you a story about myself. And I come from Lofa, but I grew up in Maryland. And for the fact that when the war was coming, the companies that were closing down. So my mother, we bought kerosene, petrol, and gasoline from the people. We went to sell them. And there was this soldier at the time, rebel had not captured our place here. This soldier, who was the government soldier at the time, went and wanted to kill me. So he used his gun, like I now know the name of the gun, it was LAR. He hit it on my back because I was trying to sell people the kerosene. And he said, I stole it from Dole, the president. And I was like, I was like maybe 10, 11 years old at the time. And I was like, I don't know what he was talking about. And he wanted to shoot me. And so my mom came and said, kill me if you want to kill my son. And they took my mother away. They were going to kill her. They took her behind the house. And I was just sitting there, just listening for the gun sound. Fortunate for us, people came around and started to beg for her. And that's a level. And we lost the kerosene, we lost everything. And even to get transportation to go back because they took all the money from us. Because we went to Calocan from Plebo. And I think people who are watching the show, if you have been in the Southeast, you will know what I'm talking about. We almost walked back home. But this is not a place for us to come and sit and say, because that happened, this must happen. I think we need to sit down to talk this thing over as Liberians to find a way forward so that we can move. Because I think people are here accusing me of not having anyone that died in the war, something happened to me in the war. So
no, that's
maybe
or something. Anybody who talks that is so stupid, and that's why for all that's a different thing with us here. This is not we don't do entertainment here. We don't amuse people here. For you to tell somebody say their person don't die, come on. Who was never hurt in that war? Deliver. Is it ignorant or why it is? Because I too finding it still difficult to struggle with in this whole thing here. And you know, it was just bad. We're still finding it difficult to process what happens, what went wrong. Now, interestingly, if you listen to Prince Johnson, he says, some of you who here, you were breaking your things on the front line, you were doing this, you were giving money. That's the same message. So it means, like he sees they see themselves as a what? As a victim, not a perpetrator. For this whole thing here. So why can't they call these people who also, you know, give them sort of power to execute, to do what they did, so that we can also have a conversation with them? We're not hearing you.
I agree, Mr. So, and Mr. Wheeler, as young as you are, I know those memories are still fresh, and we all we can say to you is that we sympathize, and we hope that all of us will heal. You see how fresh the memory just came to you. You didn't have to search. You didn't have to think. I mean, as you were talking, it's like you were there. It's just happening today. That's how many Liberians feel like. Now, if you were to have whatever forum that is established by Liberians, somebody come in with your type of story, and even you might not be able to face that same gentleman anymore, but somebody else, another person, army person, will come and say, this is a similar stuff that happened, and this is why I did that. Perhaps you will be able to associate this man's explanation to that of your own situation, and it will hopefully will bring closure to you. Let me just say something here, Mr. So. Growing up in the city of Monrovia those days, we used to sit behind the house on Camp Johnson Road, and we were not too far away from the street, and you would hear the car when they almost hitting each other, and you hear the squeezing of the tire, and then there's the saying I would say, "It a woman kill it, it a man let it go." Somebody in that community usually come up with that stuff every day. One day they heard it, he said, "It a woman kill it, it a man let it go." In less than 5 minutes, they said that your mouth. You cannot jump into conclusion. You cannot judge people because you think you're in a better position. You have to be very careful what you say and what comes out of your mouth, because you never know what will happen tomorrow. This war crime court, one of the things that I will advise the advocates, it should not be used as a political tool to win political favor. Because if you do that, you defeat the purpose. For me, the purpose of this is to educate. What have happened has happened. I'm not going to be able to bring back all my relatives that died during the war. There's no way. It's already happened. But we must use this opportunity to educate the young people. We must use this opportunity to be a historical history, factual, verbal history from all of us. I think if we do that, we will go a long way. Mr. So, my son, who graduation I'm about to go to here very shortly, he's 18 today. So he was born when the war was ending. Okay, so he's 18. That's 18 years ago. You can't sit here and say, okay, we're gonna go back to every little stuff. I'll tell you something. There's this a new magazine called TLC, long time ago. TLC on their website, it used to be one of the most Liberian visited site before the social media. TLC on their website, they had a man, a human being, holding an M16, shooting what they described underneath the crown man laying down, and the guy shot him in the head while the guy was still breathing. And it used to be part of their program. When you open a TLC program, that it used to be a video. You know, when you play that, you will see that. What was the reason? Why were they playing it? Those people who were responsible for those kinds of decisions, they must have a reason. We must hear from everybody. Mr. So, it's a wonderful show. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Mr. Wheeler, and thank you, Mr. So. Let us continue, even if it's difficult, but let's continue to talk about it.
I think we will continue to have these sort of conversations. There will be a disagreement. To everybody, no one on planet Earth to say that they were not heard directly or indirectly. The senseless war out of ignorance. We didn't know what we were looking for. We thought it was going to be a one-day event. We thought only window were being affected, not knowing the door and every other thing come more. Our hydro plant and everything went. So here we are. And what is troubling these advocates? They're good to advocate, but what are the sacrifices of these advocates? Why they can't even send a delegation? How far from here to the Hague? Other people's citizens, they did that. And go and speak and let people something is, but you know, it is what it is. We'll continue to have this conversation, but it is unfortunate. The same way we have these proliferations of political parties, that how we have this outlet and the messages coming from this outlet, some have been so much dishonest because they are playing is like the Trump Republicans playing in certain base things that people want to hear. We are not saying here that people should go with impenitent. No, that's not what we are saying. But we are calling people to have an honest conversation. If redemption is to kick in, so be it. But we need to talk it honestly. When we begin to disproportionate information, then that's where the problem is. The liberal progressive, Samson Brown told of the Liberty Party USA as a
so one please give me a minute. I just want to make the announcement here, if you don't mind. Folks, we will be discussing the Ralphie Highway, and fortunately for me, and I was surprised. I called the Minister of Public Works this morning, which was afternoon for them in Liberia. And I was told by the message that the person you're calling, they're on another line. In less than a minute, she calls me back, and I was surprised, and I really appreciate her returning my call. And hopefully, I got about.
Will you go?
Excuse me?
Will you go to face the Ralphie Road?
If it need be, because that road is, and I will show the video that I have, and I hope that Mr. Wheeler will be willing to join me and give help to give some critique about what is happening. But it's a very sad situation. But anyway, I'm not going to say much. So when I spoke with the minister, she assured me that they're going to Lofa on the tour, and hopefully next week when they get back, she will try to find out from the person in charge, her deputy in charge of the role, and perhaps they will come out and join us for the conversation. And I have to give them a call. So I just thought I want to make that announcement. But thank you very much. Excuse me?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And by the way, this beautiful building there, that's the International Criminal Court in The Hague. This is the building to whatever people that we are seeking prosecution. This is where they're going to be going. Well, in good and bad time, we must give hallelujah the higher praise because he is the one to direct our nation, our minds, and our soul. To all our beautiful followers, if this is the first time joining us, we want to welcome you. This is the Liberia Public Radio. We always here to bring you news, information, and entertainment. Not necessarily things that you want to hear, because that's not the purpose of a news. If I'm doing a propaganda for the government or the opposition, I will be speaking in a different language and tone. But when we are here to bring you news, information, we have to tell you what is right. And that has been the struggle, that has been the challenge, because we go to different places, and those news that we process, they do have some sort of impact in our decision making. So because they speak for people, and they have the right to speak for people that they believe in. But we need to sift out, scream the news for the good of the country.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Well, for me, I forgave someone because when I was displaced from Stephen Tower Estate, I went to Bassa community to stop with my brother. And he has been at her for more than 7, 8 years when I was in Tuckman High School before I left. But when the war came, the daughter looked at him and said, hey, we cannot keep these people here because they are crying. And the woman said, the mother said, Mama, she said, no. If they will kill us, if that will happen, so be it. But I cannot tell these people who has been in this house for all these men who has been in this house for all these years to be what it is. And because of fear, we decided to separate, go different places. Like, okay, if we don't want to die together, let somebody live to tell the narrative. And I'm not a Sansanto who something. My cousins who was here now lives in San Diego, DJ compound, then wife live 24th Street, Mamus from Cape Mount era, who knows me very well. He said, well, come. And when I went there, it went off the road. Why are you hosting this crime man here and this and that? And so that's how ugly and that's how bad this whole war thing is. So everybody, all of us have an endless story. People will say, well, because every little thing that happened, we're going to go back. And guess what? When I went back after the whole thing, I met her, and she tried to pull her hair down, like, you know what has happened is happening. Well, you took a decision at the time. It could have been me. Just how nobody wanted to keep Gio or Mano person, nobody wanted to host anything that has to do with crime, even though whether they work for the Samuel Doe government or not, nobody wanted to do that. So that was the situation. And that's why it says when the going gets tough and the tough gets going. So that was the survivor, the fittest. So should I blame her? Of course. It's not easy. When somebody die, oh, I want to go with you, lead them to see whether they're going to fall in that grave. They will do that. You hold me, you hold me. They will never want to go there. Nobody wants to die, but we want to go to heaven. But I think the conversations about our country needs to be genuine and honest and not for political purposes. And that has been the problem. And it is still the problem until we can come to that sense of realization that we Liberians, we don't want to know the sense of our own direction. These people here, where I was just showing you here, he was a former rebel commander in Uganda. He's now a professor. He's teaching. And I'm quite sure these students, these people that you are saying, their families, their people were hurt. And guess what? And what the Ugandan are saying, this notorious warlord, the war ever recorded, Dominic Owit of the Lord Resistance Brigade commander in Uganda. The Ugandans are saying they want him to be tried into Uganda. Let them tell him and not to the Hague, because it was Ugandans that were hurt. Do we have the capacity to do that? Neither I'm not suggesting that there should not be, but I am saying we must take a holistic approach, each and all of us. You, me, we all were responsible. You pointed at somebody, that person was a minister, that person was a soldier, that person was an immigration, and that person's life was taken away. I saw that right before my very eyes when I left Liberia to Bow Waterside. Somebody called and they said because this person had ties with the late Justice Minister Jenkins Scott, the person came across the bridge, Bow Waterside, and then MPFL forces that were there, they came because they have some sort of control, and that person was taken across the bridge. The next thing we heard a gun sound. Whether he was the one that killed, but that was the end. So directly, indirectly, we all are responsible. We must come clean. We must admit that directly we're responsible of somebody's death. That's it. I am Alfonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio. Have a pleasant May we Wednesday. Until then, by God's willing, I will be back here same time, same station on this network. Please, let's keep our nations in prayer. Let's see. All of these politicians, they are dishonest. Advocates, they are dishonest. Media gurus, they are dishonest. They take side. They push their lines. They tell us this is what they're going to do. But when they get there, they become a political correctness statement. So I don't easily fall into them because we have gone down this route. Until then, have a pleasant evening and see you.